All right. Where should I put them?
In the speaker chat. Great, we're live. Thank you everyone for joining us for this Q&A session. We have Jeffrey Zirlin, aka Jiho from Axie Infinity, and we'll start off with some questions regarding how he's been and how Axie Infinity came up with the idea of utilizing tokens to create a more sustainable game ecosystem with their tokens AXS and Small Love Potion.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm super excited to be here.
Thanks for being here, Jeff. Yeah, so could you tell us more about the history of how you guys came up with the dual token model, as well as why you guys decided to utilize both?
Yeah, sure. So in the early days of Axie, right, like Axie was created kind of as a spin-off in the early days of the CryptoKitties community. A lot of the early Axie community members and 3 of the co-founders were actually CryptoKitties players. And the idea that something more similar to Pokemon or Tamagotchi would be the thing that actually gets NFTs to, you know, 100,000 users, 500,000 users, a million users. There was this understanding that something like that would be necessary. But in the early days, Axie was kind of similar to a lot of NFT projects that you know about nowadays. At first, you couldn't see your Axies. So we did a reveal. So Axie was actually, I think, like the first project that had this like reveal event. We didn't think of it as innovative. We just thought, we were iterating. We were trying to go quickly and just make progress step by step. So at first, yeah, finally you could see your Axies, and then you could sell them, right? We launched our own marketplace. And then in July of 2018, we launched the beta for our first battle system. That battle system was really different from what Axie Infinity is today. It was auto battles, it was very basic. And the idea, though, was that, okay, you could battle, you could earn experience points, and you use those experience points to breed more Axies, right? So then there was this kind of proof of play model where you couldn't actually breed without playing the game. That was one of the problems that we perceived with CryptoKitties. So people were battling through this auto battle system, accumulating experience points. Those experience points were not tokens, they were stored on our game server. And community members started speaking up saying, hey, like, I want more experience points so I can breed more. Like, you should make it so that we can sell these experience points among ourselves. And yeah, we thought that that was a pretty good idea. So that's actually where the idea for the Smooth Love Potion came in. Regarding the governance token Axis, that was a bit of a discovery process, but we knew that we needed an ERC20 since 2018. There were a couple of reasons that we felt like we needed one. One, before we could actually get the mainstream public involved, we needed to become mainstream within crypto. And at that time, crypto people, NFTs were very difficult to grasp. But in ERC20, that was more of an understandable concept. And we felt like, okay, what if a game was actually owned by the community that plays it? What if you could actually earn a piece of the game that you're playing by actually playing it, by climbing the leaderboard? So we thought that that was actually a very intuitive and concept that made sense from first principles, even though it hadn't really been experimented with before.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think I want to hit on the first point before we go into more of the Ronin and the third token as well. Axie is famous for its characters and digital content. How did you guys go about making the content attractive as well as the characters attractive?
Well, yeah, Axie has awesome art. That's, I think, what people first see about it. That's the first impression, is that it's cute, it's adorable, it's reminiscent of a lot of the things that we grew up with, right? It's nostalgic. And that feeling of nostalgia is really important because crypto, NFTs, Web3, this is all very abstract and complicated stuff. It can be scary for people. But when you combine something that's new with something that's nostalgic, that's actually when something really special can happen. So, yeah,
Cool.
I actually came from the community. I came from the community initially in March of 2018. And what I noticed about Axie right off the bat was that it was adorable. And yeah, I think to this day that's really important.
Absolutely. I think the aesthetic is huge for gaining a large audience. Now, if we go into kind of the most recent updates, Ronin is your own sidechain and one of the best examples of the modularity of Ethereum. What are some important points to consider when building a sidechain, in your opinion, whether it's scalability or interoperability?
So we initially deployed Axie and all its associated contracts on Ethereum. The issue there was that Ethereum wasn't meant for handling gaming. So, whenever ETH was going through a period of adoption, it was actually acting as a headwind on our adoption, right? Like more people were using Ethereum, that's good, but gas fees were rising, that was bad for our user base. So we knew early on that we would need a solution to this, and we did a bunch of research. We even dabbled, experimented with solutions like Loom Network, which was an early Ethereum sidechain that was being built for games. And we looked into Ethereum layer 2. This was in 2019 or 2020, right? So the progress around roll ups and things like that was still quite primitive. You could argue that it still remains quite primitive and not really battle tested. So we realized that we would have to take our destiny into our own hands. That's why we called the sidechain Ronin, right? Ronin is a samurai without a master. We wanted to be in control of our fate. So we built the solution that we needed and made it specifically tailored to our needs, right? So to us, to be honest, a lot of scaling technology is commoditized. It's a lot of side chains are structured pretty similarly. I think the thing that's unique about Ronin is that we actually have users, that it's actually been battle tested at scale with millions of users. And right, we believe that game developers will choose Ronin because it's a proven chain that's handled massive scale, and you get built-in distribution to this really passionate community that we've built up over the years.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would really, it'd be great if you could dig a little bit deeper about these community up or bottom up projects, whether it's through the Axie Builders program or overall the Ronin network outside of what you guys are building. If you could give us a quick update about what you're seeing as well as what you're excited about.
Sure. So we have kind of like parallel paths when it comes to our game development, right? Like we have the Sky Mavis track, which is, kind of building the first party core experiences. But then we have also started something called the Axie Builders Program. Through the Builders Program, we've given out grants to 12 teams of community members that are actually building games on top of the Axie IP. Some of those games are already playable. 3 of them have playable alphas or demos right now and are getting a fair amount of traction. So really excited about that. Of course, there's also this element that, okay, we also want to be working with more formal or experienced game developers on Axie games, as well as bringing outside IP. If Axie is our Mario, then what is going to be the Donkey Kong, the Zelda, what have you, of our ecosystem? That's, I think, one of the questions that we'll be answering over the coming years.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it would be awesome to see Axie and Ronin become the Nintendo of Web3. Regarding the last question, I think it's a general ask, but we'd love to hear your perspective about how you perceive the future of content and gaming, as well as NFTs and GameFi on Ethereum and beyond.
Well, Ethereum, yeah, I mean, Ethereum is well positioned to become the global settlement layer and the data availability layer, right? So we're starting to see these models where, okay, you might have a scalable side chain or a layer two, and then you have the transaction proofs, right, that are basically being like condensed and then posted on main chain. So I think that's a reasonable direction for the path of Ethereum scaling and scaling these Web3 games. I think that games, I think like people say games are going to onboard people to Web3. I think like we can also just go a step further and say that social experiences are going to be the things that onboard the masses to Web3. And of the social experiences, whether that's chat, um, gaming, what have you, we believe that gaming is has the best engagement metrics and is the fastest growing market, right? Like the young kids these days, Gen Z and children, they are using, right, like Roblox. They're not using traditional social media, right? So there's this thesis that games are the future of social networks, which we buy into, or which we believe, right? So I think that's part of our thesis on, okay, like let's focus on onboarding gamers. Then by onboarding gamers, you're getting users to your downstream products like the Ronin wallet. The Ronin wallet has around 4 million downloads right now. Right, we have Katana, which is one of the most actively traded dexes in the world. So this idea that, okay, if you can aggregate users at the social layer, in our case through a game, then you earn the right to vertically integrate and create this entire ecosystem.
Got it. Yeah, we really appreciate your insight there. As you know, MetaSeoul's second conference was GameCon, and we had the first Axie tournament in Korea, and that was easily the most social event, Web3 or crypto, that I ever went to. And I completely agree with your thesis that GameFi represents the social landscape or infrastructure layer for Web3. Thank you so much for your time and joining us, Jiho. We appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Josh.